Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to something different. My name is Pandan, and in this video, we're going to talk a lot about Fire Emblem Three Houses because I really want to talk about it because I'm very excited for this game. I'm going to lower the music just a touch. But yeah, I'm very excited for this game. Like, I haven't been this excited for a Fire Emblem game in a long time. I mean, I'm old, and normally, like, I'm not super stoked about, like, new releases. Like, I don't follow it really closely. Like, I remember, like, when Smash Brothers Brawl came out when I was a teenager, I was like, this is the coolest stuff ever, and I was super into it and, like, following all the pre-release news, and I kind of did that again for Fire Emblem 16 or Three Houses, and just because the game looks so different, and I figured I wanted to talk about it a little bit. And what I thought would be fun is because, one, I'm not going to do an LP of it because there's like every YouTuber trying to make a buck is going to do an LP of Fire Emblem Three Houses, and that's just not really what I'm about. That's not really what my channel is about. I mean, I definitely would play it, but I don't really feel like setting up like the Switch and doing that. Like, I kind of want to enjoy the game for myself. Like, I want to be selfish with this one, and just kind of like sit on my couch and play it and like zone out and get really into it, because that's how I usually like to play like a new like vanilla game, especially when I'm just trying to like enjoy it and not critique it in the same way that I would like a ROM hack. So I want to do this for myself, but I do want to. What I thought would be fun, also kind of selfishly, is to talk a little bit about my impressions of each of the characters, what I think is going to happen to them, and kind of my plans for how I want to build different units and what I'm thinking with the limited knowledge that I have. Like, I've followed some of the news. I don't know everything super intimately. I haven't really been spoiled very much as far as like story goes. Like, I would say probably like the most spoiling I've had has been like what the time skips designs look like and kind of that people die and all that kind of stuff, which, I mean, it's Shakespearean and it's Fire Emblem, people will die. And I thought it'd be fun to do this too. A really fun Latin jazz compilation that I found. Check out this, guys, on YouTube here. Latin Jazz Funk. I'll link it in the description, but I figured this would be like some good like pre-prep party music because we're about to play Fire Emblem, boys. And I'm really stoked to get into this one. So yeah, so I want to just kind of do this as like a little bit of like my character preview impressions and kind of talk through like what I'm planning on doing as I play through the game. And then I definitely want to come back after I've played through the game and just see like how right or wrong I was based on just like what I said here. So having this documented, I think, is a good way for me to capture like what did I think before and what did I think after and what did I end up doing versus what I thought I was going to do, just kind of based on what I'm doing. So Avatar, the protagonist. So I'm gonna just name him Byleth. I feel like I should go the dude, but I really want to use female Byleth. I don't know, I kind of just like her design a little bit more. So I might do that. I'm not really like into like the whole like I'm a self-insert and I'm gonna like marry like the girl I like. I think that's kind of weird. I don't like that. Don't do that, guys. So I don't know. I might play as Lady Byleth just to mix it up a little bit, but we'll see. I haven't really listened to the VA, and I'm reading this all in Serenus Forest, so this information's all available there. These are all pre-release pictures that have been translated by them, so I'm just gonna go through and scroll. But Byleth, I don't know. As far as what I've seen, Byleth seems to be like pretty good with swords, so I feel like Byleth will, in the trailer, just like made Byleth look insanely strong. So I'll probably like, I'm guessing it's gonna be like Fates, where like Corrin was really good in all these different classes, but because you had the Yato that was like bound to him or her, it just made sense to keep them in a sword using class. And so I'll probably end up having like the same sort of dilemma with Byleth. But I don't know, maybe give them, I want to just give everyone axes, honestly. I don't know, I feel like axes would be cool. Especially like if Byleth has good speed. Having like a pretty speedy hero type character could be fun. Especially like for Lady Byleth, because the hero, apparently hero class is locked to males, which I think is really weird. Like, I'm an echidna fanboy, and I think that's garbage. So I don't know, I might just do Lady Byleth so I can stick it to IS on this one, because I thought that was a stupid idea. But I don't know, we'll see. I'm probably going to go the female protagonist unless like I get like amazingly impressed by the dude. But right now, like, I don't know, I feel like the female protag might be better. Sothis, I don't want to talk about this. I'm really tired of IS doing this stuff, man. Like, the old lady, child, dragon stuff just needs to stop. It's old, it's tired, it weirds people out. I just don't like it. I don't like this angle that I'm looking at her either. We're just gonna keep moving on. I hope that she's not really that story important, that she kind of just serves to, like, tell Byleth that he's important, but whatever. But anyway, let's keep going. So, Edelgard. So, I want to say, when the first trailer came out, I feel like all we saw was Edelgard. And I was definitely just, like, super into it. It's like, whoa, it's a lady lord. She's front and center. She's using an axe. She has, like, swagger. She seems, like, kind of cold and calculating and not, like, the sort of, like, more, like, sweet friendship is everything type of female lords that we've had in the past. And I can go on, like, a rant about how IS has made, like, a bunch of bad female lords. And I'm hoping that Edelgard breaks this trend. Like, I don't really think IS has done a female lord justice in terms of her arc, and in terms of just, like, how she's characterized, and just, you know, having the spotlight for herself. Edelgard, of course, will share the spotlight, and, you know, assuming have most of it if you go Black Eagle route. But I don't know. I think Edelgard will be fun to use. I mean, I'm not going Black Eagles personally first. I mean, I'm going to do all the routes eventually, guys. Like, I like Fire Emblem too much to not do every single route, unless the game's, like, egregiously bad. But even then, I played through Revelations as well, so, like, I can handle it if it's Fire Emblem and it's new. But yeah, Edelgard, I don't know, I think she'll be fun to use. I think story-wise, I think she's going to end up being, like, as, like, an opponent. I don't know, assuming, like, by picking one house and, like, things go poorly, that she'll be your enemy. I feel like she'll definitely kind of fit into, like, kind of like the way, like, I feel like Fire Emblem, like, intelligent systems tends to, like, fall back more. So, like, they use archetypes everywhere. Like, everyone likes to talk about, like, the archetypes in Fire Emblem. I feel like they fall back on archetypes super hard for villains, especially. Like, I feel like there's, like, a few different types, like, flavors of villain they go for, and they just, like, roll with that completely. They just roll with these types of villains. Edelgard, just given, like, she's the imperial princess of an Edestrian empire, like, she's definitely going to be, like Rudolph or Zephiel or Walhart, just, like, one of these, like, super stern, powerful, militaristic, like, my way or the highway type of villains. And it's like, this is what I think, and, like, these people are behind me, so, like, we're just gonna raise through you kind of thing. And I think if her justification is good, then, like, it could be compelling, but we'll see. I mean, I think, you know, Lady Axelord, that apparently is good with armor, like, sign me up. Like, this should be cool. Definitely want to, you know, try using her at some point. And then we got Hubert. I don't know. I don't have good vibes about this guy. He just looks like, he just gives me, like, the tactician vibes. He reminds me of, he's like, I feel like if Soren was, like, more sour, like an eviler version of Soren. I don't know. He gives me that kind of vibe. I'm curious, like, because I think he's a character that you can't recruit to other houses, so he must be pretty story important. I'm assuming that, like, he will be, like, pretty sinister on the other routes, and probably make morally great choices throughout the story, where the player will be like, Hubert, I don't know, and Hubert's like, it's the only way, and then you do it and you feel bad. Like, I feel like Hubert's that kind of character, which I think is interesting, because I like when you have protagonists that, like, aren't all goody-goody. But as a villain, though, I think it'll be interesting to see kind of where he goes. Yeah, I mean, he'll use any means necessary to eliminate her obstacles. Like, the dude's loyal, the dude's ready to go, like, he's ready to put it on the line, so we'll see, man, we'll see. I'm interested in seeing what they decide to do with Hubert, but I think he'll be, like, on the other sides. I feel like he will appear to be comically evil, but then when you play back Black Eagles, you'll kind of see, like, oh, he's so caring, and it's like you kind of see this juxtaposition and, like, the perspectives, which I feel like this game is very much about perspectives, and, like, depending on what side you're on, like, you think you're right. And I feel like they'll paint Hubert very positively on the Black Eagle side, besides, like, some of the moral grayness, and on the other side, he'll just look, like, very evil. That's my read. Dorothea, I don't like her design. I think the hat's dumb. I think the chest is just, like, too much. Like, I don't really have much to say about this character. I don't get why people like her so much. Not really crazy about the design. Don't really have much to say about her. I don't hope she's not too important. Ferdinand seems like he's just, like, he's kind of like Fred from frickin' not Thracia Fred, but like Fred from like Scooby-Doo, man. Just like, I'm important, and like I'm the best, and he's just like, I'm a noble. And I feel like he's the type of character who like falls on who he is, to like justify what he's doing. Also, this music's banging, by the way. I don't know. So he just like, these types of characters don't really interest me. I feel like he'll definitely like appear on like, when you play against him, he'll feel like a Camus like type of character who's just like loyal like blindly, and just like, this is my noble lineage and tradition. But I also like this rivalry dynamic that they highlight here. Like, he's confident and hates to lose, and he like gets a sense of rivalry. So it's like, I can see this sort of like dynamic where it's like cool because he like wants to be better than like the person he's like serving and protecting, but also is like seems like he'll be like very loyal. I don't know. That's just my guess. Probably will be like a cavalier is my understanding. Bernadetta. I think it's so funny that everyone's like, oh my god, this is me. It's like, come on guys, go outside more. But Bernadetta, I don't know, I think she would probably be one of the candidates that I would possibly recruit to my house. Not totally sure. I hope that her character has some depth, because if it's just like, I'm a shut-in and I'm awkward, like that'll get old very quickly. If she doesn't have some depth or some good reason to it, or like show some personality when she opens up more. So I feel like Bernadetta could be like, she could either, I feel like it's like, she's going to be like totally hit or miss, I think. She's either going to be very one note or have like this depth for a minor character that we haven't really seen in a while. So hoping it's the latter, but we'll see. I feel like she'll like, I feel like she leans towards like mage and archer classes. That's kind of my guess, but who's to say? Casper, I don't know. Doesn't really interest me design-wise. Like, I think his hair is a little funny. These types of characters who are just like shonen protagonists like don't really interest me. It's like it's been done before. Gauntlets would be cool. I mean, I saw him with gauntlets in one of the trailers, but I'm not sure like what the deal is with him. He doesn't really interest me very much though, so I haven't thought too much about him. Petra's another character who like, I feel like I like her design. Like, I think the braid and the color scheme is pretty cool. She has this like sort of intense stare. Like, I'm getting like my female Myrmidon bias is showing, because that's totally like, I think, how I envision her being used. This kind of like the foreign swordsman. Like, we've seen this before. I really hope that like she doesn't talk like with a weird accent or anything. That would be like kind of odd in the universe, because like everyone usually will speak like fine English or whatever language you're playing it in, and then like she'll come in and speak like something broken. Like, I hope that's not the case. I really don't, because I think if they do, that's just bad. But I think she'll be like a pretty good Myrmidon type of character. Also someone else who I would like consider like, would I want them in my army? Like, yeah, I think she'd be fun to use as like a unit. Good Myrmidons are fun. And then there's Linhardt. I just think it's so funny that they merged Lynn and Reinhardt. It's like, I love when IS memes. I think it's so funny. And it's just like, the whole like, I'm sleepy thing. Again, like Bernadetta. Like, this can get old really fast unless he's like really clever or witty. Like, I could see like him being kind of sarcastic and snarky as well, which I think would just add some depth to him. But he also strikes me as kind of like, he could be comic relief in a little one note. But I'm curious to see like what happens. I also like that he's like supposedly bros with Casper, who just seems like a complete opposite. So I think that dynamic will be cool to explore. I don't know. I think Linhardt's probably one of the more popular characters right now, and I can understand why, between the relatability and just kind of like the aspects of his design and character. So we'll see. The brilliant sleepy dude could be compelling. I don't know. I'm like cautiously optimistic on Linhardt. But yeah, the Black Eagles, like, I would say of the three houses, this is probably the one I'm least interested in overall, kind of talking through it now. Like, none of the characters, like, outright offend me, but maybe Dorothea kind of bothers me a little bit. Just, like, the design, like, the hat is just, like, too much. Like, get rid of the hat. But everyone else seems like, okay, like, none of them seem, like, super duper interesting to me. But Edelgard seems kind of cool. I'm curious, like, where this story will go. Like, I'll definitely play it, but this will probably be the last route that I do. Because the other one's interesting more, so we're going to get into them. But yeah, this house, like, I don't know. It feels like a lot of these characters feel like they've been done before and have potential to be one note. With the exception of, like, Linhardt. I don't know. We'll see. I could see that house, like, being either, like, solid or pretty bad. But we'll see. I'm going to take some water. This music definitely doesn't fit at all, and I love it. But I'm enjoying listening to it. I hope you guys are. I just put this on blindly. But anyway. We got the Blue Lions. Dimitri. I don't know. Dimitri. At first, like, his hair. I was just like, his hair looks bad. And then we saw the eye patch, and it's like, Dimitri's so cool. Just give a guy an eye patch and some edge, man, and just watch out. I mean, I feel like pre-time skip Dimitri will feel kind of like Ephraim, where he's just kind of like, I don't pick battles I can't lose, and like I wield the lance and like I'm flashy, and like that doesn't really interest me very much. But I'm curious like what happens with him. Like I think he has probably like, at least based on the trailer, the most like interesting and hard to predict element to what happens post time skip. But we'll see. Like I'm curious where it'll all go with Dimitri. I mean, a Lance Lord is always welcome. All the Lords can use swords, as far as I can tell. Like, they have proficiency in it, which I feel like is like a nice, like... It's a natural secondary weapon, I think, for a lot of soldiers. And so, I think Dimitri will be fun to use. But character-wise, like, definitely mostly interested in what happens, like, post-time skip and kind of what leads to that. So I think he has, like... I feel like Dimitri's going to be a character who's compelling because of what happens around him, not because of, like, him intrinsically. Like, he'll be interesting because stuff happens around him that forces him to act a certain way, and that will be interesting more so than, like, Dimitri himself, if that makes sense. Like, that's kind of how I'm thinking about him, that he's a product of his environment, and that'll kind of determine, like, the path that he takes. And that he'll feel, like, compelled to do it because he's, like, kind of chivalrous and also, like, strikes me as, like, a hothead. Like, these piercing eyes, like, there's some pain behind those eyes. So I don't know. I feel like he'll be a little, like, pensive and edgy at first, and then, like, as the story gets rolling, he'll become more interesting. That's my read. I could be wrong. And then Dedue. I like Dedue. I like his design. I like just, like, the way he looks. The earring is, like, such a power move for, like, this big hulking figure. I like the angle where it's like he was, you know, he's in a great debt to Dimitri. I know he's the one who can't get, like, recruited. So I feel like he's kind of like, again, like another take on kind of like a Camus-style character, like thinking from, like, the opposing view. But, like, as a gameplay unit, like, big dude who can use axes and armor and stuff like that. Like, I always like that kind of stuff. Gentle Giants, like, they're simple, they're overdone, but I always kind of, like, resonate with those characters. Maybe... I don't know, maybe I, like, see myself as a gentle giant in some ways, I don't know. But Dedue, I think could be... I feel like he's a pretty safe bet. Like, he's a character I'll enjoy, but I don't think he'll be, like, the most compelling or the most interesting or popular. But I do like his design, and I'm curious kind of, like, will his loyalty be tested at any point? I don't know, we'll see. Then we have Felix. So one of the things I really like about the Blue Lions is that, like, there's a lot of subtlety overall. Like, none of the characters, like, feel, like, over the top or, like, very, like, meme-ish. Like, even Felix, who's kind of, like, the sarcastic, like, swordmaster type with, like, this freaking, like, showing off the chest a bit here. He doesn't strike me as, like, the Rutger-style edgelord where it's, like, kill them all. He strikes me as, like... I get more, like, Joshua vibes from him, where it's like he's kind of sort of a loner in that sense, and like that's what makes him edgy versus like being like angry edgy, if that makes sense. Like, loner edge is a different type of edge, and the sarcasm thing I think could be interesting. I think he'll serve as like a good like gut check for like the main cast of this crew. Definitely a character, like, probably not the type of character who'll be my favorite, but I think he'll like help round out some of the other characters around him. He's serious about sword training, so, like, again, probably like a Myrmidon type of character, which is fine. I like those types of characters. They're fun. Fun in the early game especially. So, curious, like, where Felix will go story-wise. But yeah, he's fine. I don't have any issues with him. Mercedes, I love the hair. But she's just, like, screaming, like, make me a healer. He just seems really nice. And I'm sure she'll be pleasant, and I'm sure, like, there'll be dudes who are like, I love Mercedes. I think she'll be fine. I'm curious, like, I like this, she's, like, a little older than the other students. I feel like she might kind of play, like, this sort of, like, mother hen type of role, and maybe have, like, some good, like, stories or anecdotes about her past to share, which could be interesting, and, like, how she helps other characters get through. whatever it is they're trying to get through. Like, I don't know, that could be interesting story-wise. I think gameplay-wise should just be a healer, and that's fine too. But not too much else to say. Ash, I'm not crazy about Ash's design. It's definitely different. Like, he just kind of looks like a kid you would have gone to like middle school with the hair and the freckles. Like, he looks super ordinary, which I kind of like. But just like the color scheme, like the gray and like that pale green. Not crazy about it, but he like apparently I think has like lockpick as a personal skill, which is kind of neat. So that gives him a lot of flexibility. I feel like he's a pretty good candidate for someone to recruit if you just like want the thief and don't want to like use anyone else in like a thieving role. That could be kind of interesting. But the angle of him of like he has this adoptive father, and so he has like this chip on his shoulder about that. I feel like that like will also be like a pretty interesting dynamic. Like I feel like one of the things that I think is really shaping up to be interesting about this game more broadly is that each of the characters just have like a lot going on, and some of them feel like their personalities will be one note, but I feel like the backstory and like the world feels pretty vivid, and they'll all be shaped by the events of the world. Like everything feels quite interconnected. So like this guy like having gratitude and respect for Sir Leonardo, who I think is like somehow related to like the king of Fergus and like Dimitri's dad. And so like when wars happen and stuff, like how will Ash feel about it? Like that'll be interesting to see. Like, oh, like I'm adopted, but like I also am loyal and grateful. Like what do I do? I think it's a pretty interesting setup with a character like Ash. But personally, not the most interested in him, but we'll see. Annette kind of she reminds me of like Jenny from Gaiden with like the little curly hair. Yeah, I mean, I like that she's really good friends with Mercedes. Cheerful and hardworking. She seems like the kind of character who will like get off task and like do something totally irrelevant to what she set out to do and be like kind of cute about it. I don't know. These kinds of characters like aren't my favorite, but they aren't my least favorite. Annette gets a pass from me. You don't see too many orange hair characters in Fire Emblem. Like, how many orange hair characters do you know? I can't really think of too many. As I look at Sylvain, kind of with like his reddish hair here. But I think it'll be fine. Again, unoffensive. Sylvain just like he reminds me of Claude. Just like the energy he has is very Claude-like. He just seems like sort of cheeky, womanizing, suave, has a lot to say, talented. I don't know. There's something about this dude that kind of just like jives with me, like spiritually. Like definitely seems like, all right, like I can learn something from this guy. Values his friend is why I looked up to his dependable big brother. Like I like that aspect. I don't know. As an older brother myself, I always feel like I relate to these characters who are also like older brothers that feel a sense of responsibility. The womanizing thing, like it's been done before. I think like the execution is really what makes it entertaining or not. Like I think some people, like I think Sane in Fire Emblem 7 is like a really polarizing character for that regard, because like some people think he's really funny and then other people think like his supports are really bad and he's aggressive. I personally think Gotri in the Tellius games is really funny, even though like he kind of plays like the womanizing trope and is a little one note. Like the way he's pulled off and like how he goes about, like he doesn't lust after women in like the same way that like Sane does, where it's like you will marry me, yes. Gotri's kind of more like a hopeless romantic about it, I feel, from what I recall at least. It's been a while since I played Tellius. And I hope Sylvain's more like the hopeless romantic and less of like the aggressor type of womanizing character, which I guess is like a very subtle difference in the writing, but it makes a difference in like how you perceive him and how he's read. So I hope that he's not too one note, but I like his design. I think he has the big brother dynamic, kind of makes him a little bit more interesting than just like a straight up womanizer. So we'll see. It's been done before, but with a new twist that could be compelling. Someone who I would also probably consider recruiting to my house. And then Ingrid. Dude, I feel like for this character, IS just like watched someone play The Last Promise and was like, Inanna, we want to make Inanna in this game. And they made Ingrid, which is an I name. An IN name, no less. So yeah, this is Inanna from The Last Promise. She even flies. It's a Pegasus. I think she's supposed to be a Pegasus Knight. She's like the food girl, so she kind of could be like Ilyana. I like her design though. It's like pretty subdued. She just looks like, you know, pretty solid Peg Knight. The green on the eyes is nice. Serious attitude, determination, and virtuous knights. Like, I think this character like could have some depth to her. Again, depends on how they execute it. But she has like the childhood friend dynamic with the core 4. of the Blue Lions. So like, I feel like she'll be pretty interesting. Yeah, Dimitri, Felix, Sylvain, all our childhood friends, like the girl in that group. Like that's got to be fun. Also someone who I would probably, like, if I wanted like an extra flyer, like I would probably try and recruit Ingrid. I don't know how recruitment works across the other houses. I just have heard that it's hard, but that it's possible and that it's like limited. So we'll see. I'll have to decide kind of as I go. Because if it wasn't obvious by now, I am gonna do Golden Deer as my first choice because I think Claude is just the most like unlike other lords that we've seen. You know, he's not quite like the same brand of brash as Hector. He's kind of like trickier and like has this cheekiness to him, but also this sort of earnestness. Like he just feels kind of like pretty grounded in a weird way. And I just like deer. I don't know, they're just like a pleasant animal. And when I think even like before seeing it, I was like, I'm definitely playing as the freaking deer. Like that's cool as heck. Like how often do you get to be a deer in a game? It's always like hawks or lions or whatever, and now it's like deer. It's these docile deer. So, and he's a bow lord. Like I'm a big fan of Holmes and Tearing Saga, Beryl and Souls of the Forest. So yeah, we got a bow lord. Like hell yeah, like I'm totally down with that. This whole like calling himself someone unable to trust, like that'll be interesting. I think. I'm probably gonna give him bows. Apparently he gets like a flyer promotion, which is kind of neat. So bows and flying, like that's a really fun class type. It was one of the ones I really enjoyed in Fates, and also Bloodlines. Like Gast has the bird character, the Juron Malcolm, who's like a bow flyer, which is fun. So like I think this could be interesting. I'm curious like what else he can do, but pretty immediately was drawn to this character in this house. Is like, yeah, he's the character I want to you know, kind of play through the game with blind on the first try. Then we have Lorenz. Oh man, I love how divisive Lorenz is as a character, and how so many people are like, oh my god, look at him, he's such a dweeb, look at his haircut, and this like eliciting such a strong reaction for a character you know nothing about. And that I think I give a lot of credit to IS that they do that. And this I know I've made this like comment before, but like if a character is like bad, or like the way people use the term bad is just like too vague. Bad is a vague term. And like I think it's like when people talk about Makalov and they're like, oh, he's the worst character ever. Like I hate him, he's such a scumbag, he's a loser. It's like that's what the writers are trying to do with the character, and they're like eliciting this very strong reaction from you as like the person watching him. Like Makalov, in my opinion, is one of the best written characters across Fire Emblem, even though it's like he's a little one note and he's like bumbling and like very different from like a lot of the other protagonists that you're used to. The fact that he is so memorable and elicits such a strong reaction and like is presented in such a way that's so different from others, like I think that just makes him very compelling by comparison to some others that we've seen in the past. And I feel like Lorenz is kind of similar. Like he seems like out of touch. I mean, look at his hair. He just kind of like radiates this like this energy about him that like is compelling. I feel like there's going to be some depth to his character. I feel like he'll be entertaining to watch. I think he'll say stuff that'll make you cringe, it'll make you cry, it'll make you laugh. I just feel like this character has a lot of potential, and I'm super interested in like kind of what he does. Definitely like one of my favorites in the house, honestly. So we'll see. Just like this whole like approaching several females at the monastery with limited success. Like I don't know. I feel like he'll be just like, I think he'll be like well written, but not really well received by people who don't like understand what IS is going for with a character like this. Like not everyone needs to be likable. Makalov was not made to be likable. I don't think Lorenzo made to be likable, but I like characters like that because they're not supposed to be likable, if that makes sense. Hilda's kind of, I don't know, Hilda's probably my least favorite in the house. Like the sort of like cutesy noble type with pigtails. Like we've seen this before. Like she just looks like someone made like a fusion of like Severa and Sarah. I'm not really into her character, but apparently she uses axes, like has a good thing going on with axes, so we could have like a lady axe bro, which I'm always into, so Hilda could be okay, combat-wise. I don't know, maybe I'll make her like an axe Pegasus if you can do something like that. I don't know. We're gonna give her axes, though. Then we got Wrath. I just love this dude. He looks like the freaking Thing. I like the sideburns he gets post-time skip. I think he'll be great. I saw his speed growth is terrible, but we're giving him an axe. He's an axe bro all the way through. I'm into it. Lysithea, these types of characters like don't really do it for me. Like just like just getting like the mage prodigy thing where it's like I'm kind of awkward but really smart and kind of abrasive because like I'm not great at socializing. But also this like childish element. Like I feel like these characters are like hard to execute well. Like you either like these types of characters or you don't. Doesn't really interest me very much, but like I'm sure she'll be very good combat wise and probably be one of like the best mage characters in all 3 routes. So I think gameplay wise I think she'll be fun. Like Sia in The Last Promise, or like I guess Lute isn't really that good objectively, but like she can really get rolling. Or like Lilina, like one of these types of mage characters. I think she'll kind of be like combat wise. Oh boy, I'm running out of steam here, guys. And then Ignatz. I'm not really crazy about glasses in Fire Emblem, but I guess this is like a little bit more modern than some of the other games that we've seen, so I'm cool with it. I like his sort of dweeby haircut. He just looks like kind of like the smart technical kid that you went to school with. Like, I don't know, like the kind of like nice guy who's good with computers. So I think like his whole aspect, like he's kind-hearted who loves beautiful natural scenery and art. Like this speaks to me. He just seems like a nice dude. I want to make sure he's good. He's supposed to be good with the bow. I feel like he would be really fun to make into like a nomad type of class, like a horseman, bow and horse type of dude. Which I think was I always enjoy those types of classes. Like if you don't know by now, I always like nomads and axe fighters and like monks, I guess, are kind of like usually my go-tos. So we'll probably lean that way. I'm really curious just to like how custom the classes are. Like, are you locked to weapons, or can like I go into like an archer and still use axes or something like that, even if the class doesn't like get bonuses from it or whatever, just because I want to use an axe with him. Because I want to just do like all axes all the time. But yeah, Ignatz, I think he'll be a fine character. One of my preferred characters in the house. I like this dynamic where it's like, you know, he's in the Officers Academy but doesn't really want to. He wants to do other things. Like, what are those things? Like, it sounds like he wants to like be a painter or something like that. So I don't know. I always gel with these types of characters who are like kind of like, I'm doing this because I have to, not because I want to. I don't know. I find that kind of compelling with like how they choose to go about it. Native Marianne, I feel like she has one of the more detailed designs. I like her eyes. Like, I feel like there's just like this sadness that I'm just like, what's going on, girl? Like, tell me about it. She likes birds, so that's pretty cool. The Nature Girl characters are like, again, kind of overdone. Like, I've seen this character in media before, but I like her design. Super holy. So like probably like a white mage type of character. So like she'll probably just heal for me gameplay wise, but design wise, like, I don't know. I think it's cool. I like the color of her hair. Like, just interesting choice, I gotta say. Then Leonie, Leon, i.e. Leonie Pinelli. Like, this just sounds like, I don't know. I feel like Leonie's like the kind of girl who would play lacrosse in high school. And so I feel like she's like good in like combat classes. So like I'll probably want to give her an axe or like a lance or something like that. Probably an axe. She kind of reminds me of like this description here with like, she has like a debt to pay, but she's like a tough fighter and wants to get better. She kind of reminds me of Mia in that respect from Tellius. Like, I feel like she'll be like that kind of character. Hopefully a little bit more depth than Mia, but kind of similar. But I'm pretty stoked on Leonie. I saw her growths briefly to look pretty good, so I think she'll be fun. I mean, I have no idea like what bearing this has on anything, but yeah, like Leonie I think will be fun to use and hopefully like potentially more comedic and interesting than some of the others. But yeah, the Golden Deer, probably some of my favorites. Like Lorenz and Wrath are probably, and Claude are pretty interesting. Ignatz, like there's just characters that I gel with. Like none of these characters are like, besides Hilda, who's like but she uses axes, so it's okay. Yeah, Golden Deer I feel like was like kind of like the clear winner for me, offhand. But I'm really curious like what's gonna happen with these characters. So I don't know. I've never been like so interested in the characters in the game, and I feel like this game, IS is going out of their way to make these characters interesting. So I'm hoping that there'll be some depth to them, and that I'll have stronger opinions on them later on. But right now, my guess is that like I feel like Lorenz will have the most depth of like all of the non-Lord characters. I think Wrath will be kind of comedic. I think Ignat's like I'll resonate with him. Some of these Leonie I think will be cool. I don't know. We'll see. The teachers I don't really care about. They're just like whatever. This guy's got like this weird hunch going on. This guy's got the edgy mask. I'm not really so crazy about the teachers in general. Like Manuel, like come on, put on a shirt. Rhea just strikes me as someone who I don't really care about. I like her hair. But yeah, Cyril, I feel like Cyril's going to be revealed to be like Claude's like younger brother or something like that. Like, and what's going to happen is like Claude's going to realize like he has like a bastard brother and it's Cyril, and like he's fighting against the church, but Cyril's really loyal to the church, but he's like, no, my brother, why? Like I can see that dynamic happening. Just given like the hair and like the skin tone, like if it's not Claude's brother or relative, I'd be kind of surprised. Geralt's probably gonna either, if he doesn't die, he's gonna be evil. These two, I like Catherine. She's also giving me like a Echidna vibe, so I'm into that. This guy looks kind of silly. This guy looks pretty stern. I don't really care too much about the teachers. Shamir looks super emo. She looks like she's like I'm in the year 2005 and I went to go see like My Chemical Romance or something. Like, I don't know. The pre-pro characters I haven't really thought too much about, but I feel like you can get all of them, so I guess I'll have to get to know them. But the teachers in general don't really interest me a ton right now. I've mostly just thought about the students. And then the enemies. So what do we have here? The Flame Emperor, kind of like the Black Knight ripoff. Same with this Death Knight dude. Mysterious figure, order thieves to attack the students. Like this whole like setup here, like order thieves to attack the students. Like he probably, I'm guessing like he's related to one of the lords somehow, and like he's like a brother or a father, or just like one of these characters, or like a mercenary, very closely affiliated with one of these people, kind of like how or like a shadow to one of them, like Gifka is to Kanigas and Tellius. Like I feel like the Flame Emperor will be like, the reveal will be like it's Dimitri's dad who wanted him dead or something like that, and that's why Dimitri goes crazy or something stupid. I don't know, I could be wrong. The Death Knight 2 also strikes me as like who this guy, like what's his deal? I'm really curious who it'll be. I'm guessing like one of these dudes will probably be one of the teachers, and then like one of the other dudes will be like one of the protagonist's relatives who like doesn't like them anymore for whatever reason. Like it sounds so mild when you put it that way, but it's just like, oh, I don't like you anymore, so I'm gonna try and kill you. And then these villains, dude, like those who slither in the dark, like I'm not crazy about this. Like these guys are so blatantly the bad guys, which I guess is fine. Like you need someone to beat up on. But I'm curious, like, what their role is. Like, I could see, like, this trio being kind of, like... I'm curious, like, how serious they'll make them, and if I'll be actually scared of them, or if they'll be more, like, comic relief villains. Like, their designs could go either way, I think. This guy looks super intense, but these other two look like they could be kind of comedic characters who, like, make silly mistakes because, like, the character makes fun of them. Like a Paper Mario villain. You know, like, that kind of vibe I get from like, look at this guy. Look at this guy's face. Like, it's a Paper Mario villain. He's gonna, like... not like the sound of crickets or something like that, and that's how you beat him. I don't know. But, yeah, I'm pretty psyched for this game. Like, I think IS did a pretty good job of making all of the all the houses, like, compelling in their own way. Golden Deer is what kind of hit it for me. Maybe it's the yellow, maybe it's Lorenz and Raph, I don't know. But, Blue Lions would probably be, like, a close second, and then, like, Red Eagles is, like, Black Eagles is, like, a distant third in terms of what's interesting. Because I want to play as Edelgard, but I don't really want to deal with Dorothea's hat. But anyway, guys. I don't know. Let's see if I'm right. Let's see if I'm wrong. I kind of just spent this time rambling. I just wanted some time to like think through what I was doing and share my thoughts, because I wanted to get on the hype train before the game comes out. As far as just like general channel stuff, like Scourge of Proxima is all recorded. That's going to keep coming out until it's done, like end of the month. I started another LP, which will probably take a little bit more time to complete because I'll be busy with 3 houses. on my own time, so you probably will see a little bit of radio silence from me, but I'll be around, guys. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked with this game. I'm sure everyone else is. I feel like everyone's really into this. I feel like it's going to be good. I'm really, I guess, more macro than like the game itself, or rather the characters, which I think like will be fine. Like what I do with them will be fun to kind of figure out. The maps, I'm really curious about the maps. I'm concerned about the maps. I hope that the maps are good. I find that the more Fire Emblem leans into customization, the less they lean into maps to like accommodate all of this. So like in older games, like because everyone is one class, you can really design a map around that and have like more compelling objectives and things like that because of it, or at least like more like streamlined design where like there are certain solutions. And now it's kind of like it becomes a little bit more sandboxy where you can do anything with anyone, and so the maps I feel like kind of lose like some of their uniqueness, or like I don't know, or like everyone will need to be one class to be good, which I'm hoping is not the case. Like when everyone was doing like Darkfire, it was from Gale Force and Awakening. Like I don't like that. I want everyone to be the unique. So I'm gonna kind of just like pick a design and pick a route for these guys, like what I think will be good for like a quote-unquote balanced team, and stick with that. And kind of just play through it casually. I'm gonna play on hard because I've heard normal's piss easy, so I'm gonna do hard mode, and then we'll see, guys. We'll see what happens. But I'm pretty stoked. Curious what you guys think. I don't know. I feel like everyone's kind of like has a different attachment to these characters already, which I think is like a pretty like good way to do it. One thing I want to call out is that this game isn't directed by Maeda, which I think is also like, it just makes me feel relief. Like the guy who is directing this, who was like the art director for like, he like was like a writer for Shadow Dragon, which I think is like a pretty like witty rewrite of the original. And he did like some art direction for some other stuff, so that was pretty good. So I'm pretty confident that like he'll put together something pretty solid. And then the other guy who's directing it from Nintendo side is like a legend and has like done a lot of big things. So like it's clear that they're like pretty serious and like putting the A-team on this. And hopefully like there won't be too much of like Maeda's influence as far as like how things go. The producer I think on this from the IS side is also pretty impressive, but they have it's all in the wiki, and then they have IMDb page, so you can check out where they contributed. But I think this guy, you know, the director, he directed Shadows of Valentia, which I thought had great presentation. So we'll see. I'm hoping this game does too. But anyway, guys, I've rambled on for 42 minutes. I hope you've enjoyed. And yeah, so we're gonna go Golden Deer. I'm pretty stoked on what's gonna happen, and we'll see how hyped I am after I finish the game. So I'll follow this up once I finish it, and I'll share my thoughts overall. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be fun. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna try to. I think I'm just like looking at the characters, like Lorenz, maybe like a dark mage, something with axes, probably like a regular mage, like a bow cavalier, healer, probably like an axe fighter or like an axe cav, which would be kind of fun. So like getting another flyer like Ingrid I think would be cool. Another cavalier, maybe another mage. I feel like magic is going to be really good, as well as bows. I just feel like having like sick range will be fun, so maybe Bernadetta. Yeah, I think Ingrid and Bernadetta are probably going to be my picks. Maybe Sylvain to get like a cav. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see how things go, but that's kind of what I'm thinking right now, guys. Look at Raphael. Look at the smile. What an award-winning smile. All right, guys. On that note, I'll see you guys next time. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm optimistic. I was cautiously optimistic, and now I'm just like gung-ho. I'm ready to dive in, and I will. And they're doing like a 9 p.m. release by me, so I'm gonna go scoop it up and play a little bit before going to work on Friday, and then kind of like become one with my couch over the weekend. So I'll see you guys later. This has been fun. Be safe out there. My name is Pandan. Like, subscribe, tell all your friends, and I'll see you guys for the post-game update. Until then.